last Thursday, Dr. Wiley talked to you about angels, and today I'm going to talk to you about saints. It was that last Friday was All Saints Day, and maybe in your churches you celebrated All Saints Day and remember those folks who have died and now are resurrected over the past year. But since last week was All Saints Day, I thought I would talk about it today. It was in 1985, in February, so it happens, that I went to Europe for the very first time. It was my pilgrimage to Israel, my one and only time there. And so you've been to Europe, you've flown across the Atlantic Ocean, and so you know what I learned that time, and I've learned since, is that when you're flying to Europe, you take off from the United States from that late afternoon or evening. And as you're flying east, the sun's going west, and all of a sudden you get reunited, and what your body says is about 11 o'clock at night. But they wake you up, and they feed you breakfast, and it's really sort of a disorienting time. On that flight to Israel, as I was awakening with the sunlight and this food that was smelled kind of weird in front of me, I looked in the front of the plane, and there were a group of men standing there praying. They were weaving back and forth and praying. In my half-awake stupor, I thought perhaps the plane was crashing, but I learned later on that these were Hasidic Jews, and they were doing what Jews were supposed to do first thing in the morning. In fact, is what you and I are supposed to do first thing in the morning. They were having their morning prayer. Standing toward the front of the plane, back when you could stand in Jerusalem planes, remember that was a long time ago, standing in front of the plane, facing forward, because they were facing Jerusalem, and that's where we're going. And they're supposed to face Jerusalem and to pray. And on their foreheads was a little box. And that box was attached to their heads by a band around their head. And in that box was a tiny scroll. And in that scroll were these words, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." They were simply doing what the Bible had told them to do, to wear that on their forehead, to wear it on their wrists, to put it on their doorposts, on their gates. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. And Moses tells the people of Israel that if they remember that, then things will go well for them. If they forget that there's only one God, then things aren't going to go so well. So he said that about 3,000 years ago, 3,200 years ago, something like that, and it was a radical notion. Because it was overlaid in all these cultures of that time, the Egyptian cultures, and Persian and Greek and Roman and all the rest, all those cultures had all kinds of gods. You learn about those gods in classes, right? And all kinds of gods. So for the Hebrew people, and then later the Christian people, and then later the Muslim people, to say that there's one God, well, that's kind of radical. One God. There's only one God. Can you remember that? There is only one God. Now that foundation of our faith, and that is the most foundational piece of material we have. The very first commandment of all the 10 is, there's only one God. That's the most foundational piece of stuff we have. Now I want you to think for a minute, and while you're thinking, I just want you to close your eyes. Can you close your eyes? I want you to think and get in your mind's eye, if you can, a picture of the very, very first religious experience you had, way back when you were just really little. I mean, can you think in your mind, and can you get a picture in your head of that first time when you got it? When you understood that there was a God, and there was someone named Jesus, and they loved you very much. Do you remember that moment in your life? Take your mind there. Who was there? Where were you? What did the room look like? What did it smell like? What do you remember about that moment? Okay, you can open your eyes, but I want you to be thinking about that moment today. I want you to go to that moment and have that moment in your mind. Today, for me, it was very simple. I was 2 or 3, and I was in Sunday school or nursery school or something like that in a church basement. I remember learning songs like, my faith was first taught to me in music. Like, I will make you fishers of men if you follow me, with all kinds of hand gestures. You remember that song? It's old school. You have to be old school to know that song. It's a great song. I remember the room was yellow, and it smelled like mold because it was a church basement, and they took water every time it rained. And there was a picture of this bearded guy on the wall that they said was Jesus. And this bearded guy had a lamp in his hands. And they told me that if I ever got lost, he would find me too. When you're 3, that matters a lot. Where was it for you? Maybe it was when you were 3, or maybe it was when you were 13, or maybe it hasn't even happened yet and you're going to be 33 or 63, but somebody's going to teach you the faith. Somebody's going to teach you the faith. And whoever that is a saint. Whoever that is a saint. So close your eyes again. Can you picture the person that taught you the faith? Can you picture that best role model that you've ever had, that role model of faith, that mentor? Can you call to your mind's eye a vision of your saint? It's an exercise I did with the ambassadors last Sunday, and most all of them mentioned someone who was a family member, but it doesn't have to be a family member. Be a neighbor, or that one special minister or priest, or a Sunday school teacher, or a public school teacher, or your best friend next door. Can you remember that person? Can you get a picture of that saint? Okay. That's the last time I'm going to ask you to close your eyes today, so I hope you had enough rest. What happens in college now for you guys is that between the ages of 18 and 22, you get all that foundation and you bring it here, and all of a sudden it's time for you to decide what it is that you believe. And sometimes you believe exactly what you were taught, and sometimes you learn some new things and you don't always accept the things that you were once taught, and that's fine. I know. The faith that my parents gave to me was the foundation, but it's something that I moved into my own arena. And that's okay, that's what you're supposed to do, that's what it means to grow up. The faith has to be yours to claim. You can't be a Christian just because someone told you to be, or because someone taught you to be. It has to be your decision about what you want to do with your life and how you want to live out your life. But I'm telling you, you wouldn't even have that chance to question your faith unless there was a saint one day who taught you it. Right? Someone, that's someone. Scripture tells us that we're supposed to talk about our faith. That's how you learned it. We're supposed to talk about our faith. When we get up, when we lie down, Scripture says when we eat, in our homes, in our neighborhoods, we're supposed to talk about our faith. In residence halls, in Greek houses, in chapel services, in our brand spanking new cafeteria. We're supposed to talk about our faith. We're Christians because we were taught to be Christians. Very few of us had a knockdown, blinding experience where we were pagan and all of a sudden we were Christian. Most of us were nurtured in the faith. There's a lot of churches in Europe, if you've been there, that have graves in the floor and in the walls. You've been there and seen that. Even in Topeka, the Episcopal Cathedral in Topeka, which is where I go in December and May for the nursing school training ceremony. If you go walk up by the chancel in that area, there's 3 names underneath the altar. And those 3 names aren't there just to be pretty. Those the remains of 3 people who were founders of that congregation are buried underneath the altar of that church. It's true in Europe. If you go to church in Europe, you have to walk over graves to get to your seat. Walk past the graves of people to get there. And why is that? Because of a shortage of real estate? No. No. It's because we understand that when the church, and I mean by the church, I mean a denomination, I mean the people who are of faith who are gathered together for worship, when the church gathered, it is the living and the resurrected who worship together. Always. The people who have lived and died and now live again in the faith are always with us. Always. Always with us. Chemists and biologists that I know tell me that molecules are matter, and because molecules are matter, they can neither be created nor destroyed. If you live your life in a mold vein, you might have learned that at some point. And I like to think about that. And you might ask, are you a geek? Why do you like to think about stuff like that? Here's why. If molecules can neither be created nor destroyed, if molecules just continue to exist, that means that there are molecules floating in this room, maybe on the walls, or on the rafters, by the ceiling. Molecules in this room have been sloughed off by everyone who's ever entered this space, whether it's in Kansas or in England or wherever. So that means that there are some manufacturers molecules in here. And Mr. Osborne's and the first people who were married here, Greg and Randy, we just celebrated their 17th wedding anniversary this past August. This weekend, Emily and Craig are going to be married here. They're going to slough off some molecules to leave behind you. Students who've worshipped here since 1996, the 165 students who were here the very first day, the very first chapel service. All those molecules are here. The people from England, too. Hope Sentence. Mrs. Sentence was the organist. She died when she was 97. And so she's sitting next to you right now. From all of you. Sort of dusting over you. You're dusting over you. And Annie Stockwell and Jonathan Watson. You're not ever going to know those people. You'll never meet them. Whether the ones who made it possible for this chapel to be here now. They caught the vision. They said, sure, as long as it's going to be for a place of worship for college kids, it's fine with us if it leaves our village. And they worship with us. They worship with us every single Thursday. They're the saints, some living, some resurrected. They're worshiping here with us every Thursday. You're going to leave molecules here too. You are today. You're going to leave behind some of you in this space so that whenever a worship service is conducted here in the future, you will always be here, part of the body of Christ. I want you today to remember those people who you had a vision of, your saints, your mentors. I want you to remember them. I want you to speak with them today. If they've already died, go and speak with them anyway, because they're here. Get in touch with them today. One more image. Picture your life as a racetrack. Could be oval, could be circular, doesn't matter. And you and I are doing what Paul says. We're running a good race. We're fighting a good fight. We're keeping the faith. We're running that race of life. Just going on and on and on. Now picture around this track, there's a balcony. A balcony of cheering fans. Fans that cheer your successes and encourage you in your failures. That balcony, those fans in that balcony, those are the saints. Cheering you on. Living resurrected. People who taught you so much, and among the things that they taught you is that there's only one God. It is the faith that has been passed on to us, and you and I are going to need to pass it on to the next generation. Because without saints, we would be no people at all. So to rephrase it, hear, O Baker University, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Talk about that amongst yourselves every day. Every day. Let's stand and sing our closing song.